The arena was never meant for humans. The gravity was wrong, too light, then suddenly crushing. The air shimmered with charged particles that prickled against Jalen Mar's skin, raising goosebumps along his arms. Around him rose tiers of stone and living metal, carved into impossible curves, packed with thousands of alien spectators whose voices blended into a low, thunderous hum. Some had eyes like burning coals. Others had no visible eyes at all. Every single one of them had come to see blood spilled. Jalen hadn't. He stood in the center of the arena with his hands clenched, heart hammering, replaying the moment that had led him here. A docking dispute. A misunderstanding of customs. One insult he hadn't known was an insult. On the world of Kael'thara, honor was not negotiated, it was enforced. And now, by their law, he was required to fight. Across from him, the ground split open with a grinding roar. His opponent rose from the pit like a living monument. Threxval, champion of the Karun, stood nearly 3 meters tall, his body plated in natural armor that glowed faintly red along the seams. For eyes locked onto Jalen with cold certainty. This was not a duel for sport. This was an execution disguised as tradition. Human, boomed the arena herald, its voice amplified directly into Jalen's skull. You have challenged the bond of the Karun. By ancient right, you face her mate in combat. Victory grants you his legacy. Defeat grants you death. Jalen swallowed. I never challenged anyone. The crowd roared louder, amusement rippling through them. Intent did not matter here. Outcome did. High above, seated upon a throne of black crystal, Seralith watched in silence. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes an unsettling shade of violet. She did not cheer. She did not look away. Her expression was carved from grief and fury alike. Threxval had been her chosen mate, her protector, her future. And now he stood ready to kill a human who didn't even belong on her world. The signal sounded. Threxval moved first. The ground shattered where he struck, a massive fist slamming down with enough force to pulverize stone. Jalen barely rolled aside, feeling the shockwave rattle his bones. He scrambled to his feet, breath coming fast, mind racing. You can't win this, a voice screamed inside him. Jalen had been a spacer, a courier, a survivor. He had fought pirates and starvation, outrun customs patrols and debt collectors. But this was something else entirely. Threxval was bred for war. Every movement was efficient, brutal, inevitable. A backhand caught Jalen across the ribs, sending him skidding across the arena floor. Pain exploded through his side. Something cracked. He tasted blood. The crowd howled their approval. Threxval advanced, unhurried. He raised his arm, armor plates shifting, energy gathering along his claws. One strike would end it. Jalen pushed himself up, vision swimming. Wait, he shouted. The champion paused, more out of curiosity than mercy. I don't want to kill you, Jalen said, forcing the words out. And I don't want whatever your customs say I get if I do. A ripple of laughter spread through the stands. Threxval's voice rumbled, deep and resonant. Legacy is not chosen. It is claimed. He struck again. Something inside Jalen snapped. Not fear. Not anger. Something deeper. The moment his blood hit the arena floor, the ground beneath him responded. Symbols flared to life, ancient, angular glyphs etched into the stone long before this arena had ever been built. A pulse of energy surged upward, wrapping around Jalen like a living current. The crowd fell silent. Threxval staggered back, suddenly wary. What have you done? Seralith whispered from her throne. Jalen didn't know. He only knew that the pain faded, replaced by heat, by strength that wasn't his but answered to him. His senses sharpened. He could feel the arena, the crowd, the ancient mechanisms buried beneath layers of civilization. The arena wasn't just a battlefield. It was a test. Threxval roared and charged again, faster this time, driven by instinct and pride. Jalen met him head-on. Their clash sent a shockwave through the stands. Jalen's arm screamed in protest, but he held. The glyphs flared brighter, feeding him power in measured pulses, as if judging him with every breath. He didn't fight like a champion. He fought like a man who refused to die. He dodged instead of blocking. Redirected instead of overpowering. Each movement felt guided, nudged by something ancient that understood this place better than either of them. Threxval adapted quickly, rage giving way to focus. A calculated strike caught Jalen's shoulder, tearing flesh. Another blow knocked him to his knees. Yield, Threxval growled. You have awakened what you cannot carry. Jalen looked up at him, blood dripping from his chin. Then stop trying to kill me and help me understand it. For the briefest moment, the champion hesitated. That moment cost him everything. The arena pulsed, responding not to violence, but to choice. Energy surged through Jalen, not explosive, but precise. He rose and struck once, channeling the force into Threxval's chest. The armor cracked. Threxval froze, eyes wide. Slowly, impossibly, the massive alien sank to one knee. His breath hitched, then stilled. Silence consumed the arena. The herald's voice echoed, subdued now. By ancient right, the challenger stands victorious. Jalen stared at the fallen champion, horror knotting his stomach. I didn't mean to. Threxval looked up one last time. There was no hatred in his gaze. Then bear it well, he said. And he was gone. The arena erupted, not with joy, but with awe. Seralith rose from her throne, her expression unreadable. She descended the steps slowly, each footfall echoing like judgment. When she reached Jalen, she stood close enough for him to feel the strange heat radiating from her skin. You have killed my mate, she said quietly. I'm sorry, Jalen replied. The words felt inadequate. I never wanted this. Desire is irrelevant, she said. Legacy is not. She turned, addressing the crowd. By the oldest law of Kael'thara, the victor inherits the fallen's burden, duty, and claim. Threxval was bound to the first covenant. A murmur swept the stands. Jalen's heart sank. What does that mean? Seralith faced him again. It means the ancient guardianship he carried now rests with you. The glyphs on the arena flared one final time, then burned themselves into Jalen's skin. Knowledge flooded him, fragments of memory, echoes of purpose. The Karun were not conquerors by nature. They were wardens. Protectors of something sealed deep beneath the planet's crust. Something dangerous. You're saying I'm responsible for it now? Jalen asked. Yes, Seralith said. And because of that, you are bound to me. He blinked. Bound how? Her voice softened, grief bleeding through the formality. By custom. By law. Not as a master. Not as a mate by affection. But as the bearer of Threxval's legacy. The crowd bowed. Jalen felt the weight settle onto his shoulders, heavier than any chain. The days that followed blurred together. Jalen was given quarters, attendance, instruction. Scholars studied him. Warriors watched him. Some with resentment. Others with reverence. None treated him as human anymore. Seralith remained distant at first, fulfilling her duties with cold precision. But in quiet moments, Jalen caught her watching him, not with hatred, but with something more complicated. You blame me, he said one night, as they stood overlooking the city's bioluminescent spires. I do, she replied honestly. And I don't. Both can exist. I never wanted your world, Jalen said. Or your customs. Nor did I want to lose Threxval, she said. Yet here we stand. Silence stretched between them, no longer hostile, but heavy. You could leave, she added. Run. The legacy would consume you eventually, but you could try. Jalen shook his head. That thing you're guarding, it's not just your burden. I felt it. It's a threat to more than this planet. Her eyes widened slightly. You understand more than we thought. I don't understand, he said. But I won't abandon it. For the first time since the arena, Seralith inclined her head, not in submission, but respect. When the true test came, it wasn't in the arena. The seal beneath Kael'thara began to fail. Ancient machines woke, misaligned after centuries of neglect. The power Jalen had inherited strained against its restraints, seeking release. Together, Jalen and Seralith descended into the planet's depths, into a chamber older than her species' written history. There, at the heart of the world, they stabilized the failing systems, not through force, but through balance. Jalen didn't command the power. He negotiated with it. He offered restraint, vigilance, and sacrifice. The seal held. When they emerged, the city awaited them, not as conqueror and concubine, not as ruler and subject, but as guardians. Jalen often thought back to the moment before the fight, when he had believed the arena was the end of his story. He had been wrong. He hadn't won a prize. He had inherited a responsibility. And though the legacy had been claimed by combat, it would be defined by choice. The universe had forced his hand. What he did with it was finally up to him.